First of these is already out, as Surviving the Abyss was released on the 17th of January 2023 to mostly positive reviews, despite several problems still present in its early access version. The gameplay itself is all about survival in this new medium, which is quite different from the vacuum of space in many regards, but also similar in others. Your deep-sea science teams need oxygen to breathe, food generation is quite difficult under such conditions, while power is plentiful if you have the supplies to start production and collection. There are several other types of resources, some more unusual than others, like genomes for example. The tech tree is there to let you upgrade building efficiency slowly, while expanding your settlement means first filling the dark depths with light to even be able to see what awaits you. Dangers or new resources. It is a very unforgiving game, meaning learning by failing is going to be the norm, especially until you nail down the correct sequence of buildings, tech and resources to gain. If you prefer the medieval setting, spiced up with some crime and conflict, then I would suggest waiting a bit more for Norland. This medieval kingdom sim is all about stories and personal relations of your citizens, which develop alongside slavery revolts, spectacular battles and more nefarious things. Not only will you be training these citizens into armies and using resources for defenses, but also make decisions during events of political intrigue with other kingdoms and religious leaders on the global map. There is technology, production chains, trade and caravans, among many other features of village life, work and fun. For combat, you have several types of armor and weapons, unique skills, morale and a body part damage system. To keep things fresh, each playthrough has different starting conditions, while you yourself will customize the scenario by your choices of how you deal with economy, family members, riots, criminals and many other elements. The Pioneers Surviving Desolation might be a mouthful, but it has already been released, and as we could expect, opinions go from bugfest to amazing Best Buy. What matters to me right now is telling you what it offers, because the state of it will change with every new update. This game is a science fiction survival simulation and management game about building your own long-term science station on one of the moons of Jupiter. This means you face extreme temperatures, intense volcanic and seismic activity, and magnetic storms, while trying to keep your crew fed and healthy. There is some resource collection, but not in the way you might be used to, while also exploration using rovers and drones. The station, which holds your crew of 3 and is your base of operation on this moon, is upgradable with many science and engineering systems. These help you achieve your mission of finding new energy sources for the corporation which sent you here. There are 15 characters in total, but the right mix of 3 of them that you choose is something you will learn after seeing their strengths and weaknesses during your multiple attempts to finish the mission. And if you ever played Frostpunk, you know all there is about multiple attempts, which is undoubtedly going to be the same in that game's sequel, which is much closer now. It might be marked coming soon, but I have a feeling that is about to change this year. The story will be continued, but with a 30-year gap to where we left off, and instead of steampunk, we might just end up in dieselpunk. Earth is still not very hospitable, and we are going to be in charge of a new resource-hungry settlement just with brand new struggles. This is going to be the age of oil, and that black gold will bring nothing but trouble for the people which already suffered a lot in their lifetimes. Moral dilemmas are to be expected as the core gameplay, just like building, resource collection, politics, society and technological progress. Going back to the medieval world, we have a very interesting solo indie project called Ascent of Oryn, with low polygon art style, a campaign with 4 different civilizations, and a mix of gameplay starting with city building and managing the needs and wants of your people, all the way to army battles. Building is a big part of this game, as you can have both towns and castles, while taking care of regular tasks like gathering resources, trade with other nations, creating your own religion, and research of new technologies. There are also new lands and creatures to discover, located in different biomes, with other nations already living there. Weather and the day-night cycle will influence your citizens' health, your buildings, and the biome at large. The developer wants you to have a lot of enjoyment building in this game, so they have added a creative mode, while buildings include bridges, elevators, watermills, and other types of machinery. You will be able to use prefabricated buildings as well and to modify terrain elevation. This next survival builder is called Colonize, which is fitting considering its 17th century New World setting. You not only build up a city-state, but also its population and an entire economy necessary to sustain it. You will be able to find many new raw materials, construct building improvements, pass laws, form a government, and even send your citizens on missions into the wilderness. Colonize offers the choice of 6 different cities you as the player can populate, from Jamestown all the way to Bermuda and Salem. Weather plays an important role in each one of these cities, and possible expeditions and starting trade ships with England are both different in each scenario. Trade is an integral part of your survival because it gives you access to things you can't make in your city-state. There are of course Native Americans, and you will have to watch out for them as they are just as dangerous on land as are the pirates on the ocean. Our next game on this list also has dangers for your settlers in a post-apocalyptic setting and a very robust combat system to go along with that. In Ascent of Ashes, there are raiders to fight off, aliens to defend against, and even some remnant soldiers to evade using stealth or engage in real-time combat with pause. Another major feature are vehicles you can restore and use for transportation to get around the big procedurally generated world filled with different biomes and points of interest. Of course, you have a base to construct, crops to farm for food, tech to salvage from the old world, and you can even tame alien beasts. Each of your survivors will have their own unique personality and motivations, just like the combat system simulation has a detailed hit and health system along with enemies which possess varying degrees of intelligence. There is going to be modding, as the whole engine is built with that in mind, so basically a game made by modders, for modders, and everyone else who enjoys this kind of gameplay. Now, usually it is I who finds games for lists such as this one, but in this case the developer of Shire found me, and now I want to present his castle building and defense game to you. Do note that besides building and combat, this game features a complex economy system in which every good is simulated and accounted for. You are the king here, and the people have to follow all your decisions, but this also puts a heavy burden on you, with everything from castle building and defense to goods production depending on your plan. The inspiration for all of this came to the developer of Shire from the Settlers and Anno, as well as Castle Story. Of the building types, you have lumberjacks, mines, forges, breweries, and many more, which tells you what kind of basic resources you will be playing with. Castle building will include dynamic sizes for every piece, like archways, portcullis, gate, drawbridge, and so on, to let every player build his own unique castle. Workers and the army are separate populations, each with their own needs for different goods. The army marches with a supply wagon outside your borders, while your workers have need for different goods. Destruction is another game mechanic which should make sieges much more fun. Now, let's talk about a peaceful survival builder called Circle of Kerzoven, made with the charming low-poly art style and many deeply simulated elements. These are wholly intertwined with the human population you manage, and there is trade with other factions. Animals and plant life are affected by the actions of humans, each other, and their environment. As you deal with your citizens and their needs like homes, workplaces, food, and everything else they want, you inevitably change the balance of living creatures and plants around your settlement. Since you can manage the acquisition, refining, and distribution of resources on multiple maps and in different seasons and climate conditions, there is a risk that some animals will become extinct or explosively multiply, depending on your actions. Temperature is another factor that affects everyone. Plants, humans, and animals need more energy in winter and more water in summer. You will be able to create your own maps and scenarios in the editor and expand these using mods. Another colony builder with the addition of factory simulation gameplay is called Dawn Apart. Here you can destroy your environment as you try to get resources from it, while the setting is on another planet complete with natives, which can be your enemies or allies depending on your actions. Remain a loyal corporation goon and they will fight you. Help them rebel against the corporation and they will become your best friends. When it comes to building, you can do so both vertically and horizontally, constructing sky-high factory complexes with assembly lines stretching over multiple floors and reached by many conveyor belts. These will be the targets for saboteurs trying to disrupt your operation. Your population is made up of engineers, mercenaries and civilians, and you must provide them with food, shelter and medicine if you want to keep new ones coming in from the home office to expand your colony. One more colony builder outside planet Earth is Dark Moon. This is a science fiction representation of survival on a hostile lunar surface, but with a twist. Here, the sun has turned from a life giver into a life taker by unleashing massive storms, likes of which were never before seen in our solar system. You as the player are a member of the engineering council sent by Moonshell to oversee the construction of a newly developed mining system on the moon. But the storm changes your plans into a race for survival, and the only safe area is the dark side of the moon. To keep your team alive, you must maintain a walking factory-sized mech called Mechaplex in working condition, all the while collecting minerals and producing prototype mechanical devices. Mechaplex can be upgraded with new buildings and new tech researched as it traverses the lunar planes. Each playthrough will be different due to unpredictable results of each location and events, and also because of the composition and personal traits of your team, which can be enlarged as you pick up more survivors along the way. For a much more colorful and fantasy survival builder, we need to visit the world of Diluvian Winds. In this stylized 2D surrounding, you help out stranded animals in exchange for them keeping your lighthouse from going under the waves. The main protagonist is the Guardian, an individual who, refusing to leave his lighthouse, will witness a mass exodus. The main villain in the Diluvian Winds is the rising water level, which leads to a huge flood. Because of it, new refugees arrive at your shore all the time. You can choose to help them or perhaps not. During these procedurally generated events, you will experience countless stories and write their ending yourself. The different survival paths will be open to you as a way to adapt the lighthouse to stand against this impending flood. The refugees who you allow to live around the lighthouse will help upgrade it and keep it resilient to the gradually rising waters. While you roleplay as the Guardian, you will choose how to expand your community and keep everything in one piece by floating, flying, or even submerging it. This next game has been too long in coming, and I really hope we get to play it because it's inspired by Slavic mythology and the mystique of the Carpathian region. In Night is Coming, you lead a brave band of humans against all sorts of monsters and scary mythological creatures. These attack your village every winter in ever-increasing numbers. Beyond the settlement management mechanics of gathering resources and providing your settlers with food, clothes, and shelter, you assign all of them roles, like cooking, farming, mining, and other crafts. These settlers also explore the lands around the village and look for rare resources. Each of them have their own characteristics, abilities, needs, attributes, skill levels, and an unusual stat called Spirit, which makes them stronger or weaker. You have to protect and equip them to fight countless monsters and beasts like swamp banshees, legends, werewolves, night nurses, and many others which will come at night to destroy your village. If we go back to the science fiction setting, we might as well look at Mars Colony Builder, also known as Mars City Builder. For some reason the developers don't seem to be clear on that part in their game's info page. They want to put you in the role of a pioneer who has to fight for every breath of oxygen and sip of water against the arid and almost airless deserts of Mars. From your first lander, a city will grow and expand as you develop the land and build roads, public transport, efficient solar panels, fully automated homes, and mineral mines using an army of rovers and droids which you can also send off to explore Mars. Make no mistake, this planet is a barren and hazardous place. To become self-sufficient here, you need to gain resources, and to achieve this, you first have to find deposits and start mining them using a specialized team and proper equipment. As you develop more advanced technology and terraforming techniques, you will enhance the quality of life on Mars for your colonists, making those futuristic cities a reality. This next game is a strange one, and not only because of the mix of gameplay elements starting with adventure, settlement building and strategy, but also because of its mythical setting and spellcasting abilities. In Gord, you lead the tribe of the Dawn as they venture deep into the Forbidden Lands. There are quests, your tribesmen have personalities, a sense of well-being in the form of sanity and burden, and the survival of this community is of course on your shoulders. To help you do this, you can construct palisades, build up structures, and grow your Gord, as in village, from a humble settlement to a formidable fortress. There will be other tribes ready to take your goods, gruesome monsters of Slavic myth to take your blood, and other even more mysterious powers are at work in the surrounding woods. If all that doesn't chill your blood and prevent you from venturing out, then you can test the AI-driven quest system, which will prepare a huge variety of challenges for you. You can set up your own game when selecting the scenario to play, and every setting can take you from an easy win to an impossible challenge. For an equally strange game, let us now look at Gnomepunk. Here you are able to create an army of gnomes while helping them build, gather resources, develop technology, and learn how to conquer or use the flora and fauna of their world. These legendary halflings set traps for and face wild animals, hostile terrain, carnivores, plants, hostile gangs on the outside, but on the inside there are problems like alcoholism, idleness, and defeatism spreading across the society. Some heavy stuff indeed. And on top of that, they have to deal with other tribes, make alliances, or declare wars on them. They can be entertained in the arena or at parties at night, but if the economy is not running like it should be, you, as their ruler, will lose all respect and all your tax income. If you have managed to bring order and stability, then as the king, you should have fun and enjoy what the night has to offer. Another game about a similar, short but also stocky race of underground dwellers is King of the Dwarves Underground City Builder. More than a mouthful and in need of shortening, but we will leave that for the developers to sort out. What they have prepared for us to play is mining and building in a huge procedurally generated underground world. There is tech research, training of warriors, but also engineers, forging weapons and using all that to fight monsters in battles between hundreds of units. The goblins and orcs will do their best to ruin your day, and there are legends of dragons sleeping on treasures deep within the mountain. Having an underground kingdom doesn't prevent you from having trouble with natural disasters, including earthquakes, lava rivers, and waterfalls. So be prepared to deal with those in your long networks of corridors through massive mountains. Morale of your dwarven community must be kept up as it grows, and you can construct temples and altars to help you with that, as there are actual dwarven pantheons to dedicate those buildings to. Another massive work in progress by indie developers is Songs of the Eons. They have grand plans of making a sandbox-style fantasy world simulator and builder which lets you follow your community through the Eons, hence the name. There will be many different races, like humans, elves, dwarves, and others, all trying to transform the wilderness to their needs and wants. Your job here is to help them against hungry beasts, monsters, and barbarians, as you invent your own objectives in a system with an infinite combination of civilization types. There simply are no victory conditions. The idea is to last as long as you can and develop as far and wide as you can, considering you have a whole living and breathing planet to play on. Next game on our list has a much smaller scope as you manage a community of a few dozen on an Earth after it has been flooded. There will be expeditions to send, resources to gather, tech to research, and 3 different groups to balance. The Moonshiners, who are in charge of the booze production and all the R&D, Motor Church, followers of a new made-up deity who are crazy in love with their water scooters and use them to go scavenging for junk. Last, are AC/DC, but not the ones you might think of, as there are a bunch of politically correct weirdos. Unpredictable and aggressive, and a natural choice for the law enforcement services in this post-apocalyptic setting. To expand your junk city's infrastructure, you need new resources and also inventions and upgrades for your buildings. Even the decisions you make for the good of the city will have unforeseen consequences. The exploratory expeditions you can send will bring home tons of neat loot you can use and grow both your community and floating real estate. A very different builder with a lot of survival elements but far less demanding population is NecroCity, as your settlers are already dead and reanimated. I'm talking of course about skeletons, werewolves, goblins, zombies, ghosts and other monsters. Here you have cemetery building, not home building, but they still find ways to have needs and wants you must fulfill. It is a half scary, half funny game where you defend from humans, as opposed to all the previous games on this list where you defend from monsters. You will get to lay roads, construct tombs, crypts and fortifications, including defense towers and various types of traps. Advanced buildings include a necromancer's mansion and an undead sanctuary. Those heavily armed knights and peasants wielding pitchforks don't know what they are in for. The last game on this list is still in early stages, but the reason I have included it is because it has such awesome ideas in it, like dragon taming. It is called Guild of Dragons and it has settlement building, a full-on magical world with a day and night cycle, exploration and even conquest. When it comes to dragons, you can raise, feed and tame them if you want to eventually be able to command and ride them. If you neglect them, they become feral and run off to burn the world at large. Your settlers will help you in these tasks, as the first and third person perspective is a bit limiting when you have so much to do, including construction of many buildings and management of production chains. There will also be merchants for you to trade with, weapons and potions to craft, and a variety of crops to farm, including flowers, herbs and dragon fruits. That is all I have for you this time. For more games, use the cards on the screen, links down below. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!